and welcome to the English at Leeds Trinity podcast. I'm Hannah and I'm a student studying English at Leeds Trinity, and I'm joined by 5 people in the studio who I'll allow to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Humera.
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm Imi.
And I'm Richard Storer. I'm a lecturer in English at Leeds Trinity.
In this podcast, I thought it would be quite interesting to look at some nonsense words. And there's a really good place to go to start off with that, and that is Lewis Carroll's poem Jabberwocky, which appeared in Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, published in 1871. Appears in the first chapter, and then later again in chapter 6, when Humpty Dumpty explains some of the meanings of the words to Alice. "'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves and the mome-raths outgrabe.
Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird and shun the frumious bandersnatch.
He took his vorpal sword in hand, a long time the manxome foe he saw. So rested he by the tumtum tree and stood awhile in thought.
And, as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tall G-wood, and babbled as it came.
1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back.
And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. And frabjous day, calloo, callay, he chortled in his joy.
'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves and the mome-raths outgrabe." Thank you everyone for reading their section of Jabberwocky. And I also thought that we could pick out some words from our own verse that we found quite interesting, particularly the made-up words. So the 2 words in my sections that I found interesting was gyre and gimble. I know the meanings to them because Humpty Dumpty explained it in Through the Looking Glass. And gyre, well, we say gyre, but it's actually gyre because it's like a gyroscope. It's a movement. It's like a sort of swirl kind of thing. And gimbals also kind of like it's like one of those words that look and sound the way it is. So it's kind of, if you think of like light movements, slithy toves are kind of like a little creature, and they're swirling and moving around, like scuttling around kind of thing.
So slithy.
Slithy, yes. That's a mix between lithe and slimy.
Right.
Yeah. What does lithe mean?
I'm not sure what lithe means. I know what slimy means.
Lithe is like flexible, I think.
Oh, I see.
And it's normally to like describe movement again, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose.
I envisage it comes from something like writhe, like to writhe is to like move and fidget.
Yeah, it definitely conjures that up, doesn't it? So gyre and gimble actually were words that already existed.
Yeah.
But obviously he's kind of, what's the word, co-opted them.
Yeah, he's put them in a different way.
Yeah.
I like how they work together, because you can kind of imagine how they're moving by the sounds of the words. Very clever, I think.
It's that alliteration.
Yeah.
Gyre, the gimble, it's like flows quite nicely as the poem should. So the word that I picked in my verse is a Jubjub bird, and I don't really know the origins of this word, but I'm imagining, looking at illustrations of Through the Looking Glass, it resembles a dodo bird. So I'm wondering whether it's Carroll's taken it from that sort of imagery of dodo and then the repetition of dodo and changed it to Jubjub. That's all I can really say about it. I don't know whether it says anything in the book, but I've never read this. So.
It only says in the book that the Alice companion that we're kind of drawing on a bit, I don't think Humpty Dumpty says anything about it. It only says that he used this again in his later work, The Hunting of the Snark. So he obviously was quite pleased with the word Jubjub. And we've had slithy, which is one of those words that you call a portmanteau word, which is combining 2 words. Jubjub is another kind of word, isn't it, where you've reduplication, I think is the word. You just make it by repeating the sound or repeating something similar with it. So we're seeing several different ways of coming up with words.
I'm wondering as well whether it's supposed to be like an imitation word, like an onomatopoeia. Like, is that the sound that it makes when it eats or something? Like, jub, jub. Like, is it a noise that it creates, and that's why it's called that? Or in his own mind has he...
A bit
made
like
it?
glug glug if you're drinking.
Yeah, could be.
Or people sometimes say that people who are eating are kind of going nom nom nom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it may be that, yeah.
I chose Vorpulk. I found that interesting. I was thinking it sounds like a normal word to describe a sword. Like, it sounds kind of sharp, almost, even though I'm pretty sure Lewis Carroll said that he doesn't know what it means. It doesn't really know how to describe it.
Yeah, but I see what you mean by sharp. It's the or kind of thing, like sharp, short.
And also like corporal. Do you know what, like, because it slices through body sometimes, swords, don't they? The word corporal means body.
Oh, yes, yes.
The V just sounds kind of sharp for some reason. I think that's interesting.
It sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
It's that like imagery. It's that like, because it's those like V sounds are quite like sharp.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't sound as aggressive, I guess, if it was a different word, or a different letter, sorry.
I've got the quote here. Carol wrote to a friend, "I'm afraid I can't explain Vorpal Blade for you."
Oh, I see. Clarified then.
Was he meaning I could explain it, but I'm not going to? Or
Maybe he means that you can, however you,
Interpret it.
you imagine it, it is.
yeah. I'm not going to help you though.
No, exactly.
I picked the word uffish because it sounds interesting. I like the way it sounds. And the syllables have connotations of like completing something or being in an absolute state.
Uffish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing what he's said about it.
I didn't know initially if it was like derivation from like oafish, maybe. I mean, oafish kind of sounds like, you know, standing a bit stupidly. But
Yeah.
I thought it was like off and then just ish.
What's off?
You know, like, you know when you're huffing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be, overwhelmed by the sight of it, and he has to kill it. And, when he's standing there thinking about what he has to do, he's probably going to be quite breathless. And
There's a word I've sometimes heard people use, which is offish. Has anyone come across that?
I've heard of that, but I don't know the
It's like
definition.
describing someone as standoffish.
The standoffish, yes. But once I was speaking to someone and they were talking about someone else not being very well, I said, "Oh, what's the matter with them?" And they said, "Oh, they're just offish,"
I see.
which didn't mean anything to me. But
It's weird. It's like ish is like an affixation that we just use to describe ourselves. Like if someone asks me, "Oh, how are you feeling?" and I might go, "Ish." It's like feeling weirdish.
You're not feeling right.
Yeah, it's weird.
Almost ish.
Yeah.
I've got the quote here from Carol. Uffish suggested to him a state of mind when the voice is gruffish, the manner roughish, and the temper huffish. So he's just playing around with it there, isn't he?
Oh, I
And
see.
but he's got huff in there. What would you want to say again? What you said about it, Sarah?
I thought it sounded like finished.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of that picking up on finish as well. Yeah. I guess the one that I've got to pick out. Well, there's snicker snack. That's a word which, because of the name of a particular chocolate bar, has kind of taken on a whole different meaning in the modern era. But then galumphing. This is another example of a portmanteau word where you've taken gallop and triumph and created the word galumphing. Although to me, the galumphing, if I was using it, I think I'd have the conversation of someone doing something in a bit of a bad temper. Not, he's supposed to be happy here. Stroppy, yes. But that's not actually the implication of it here. But I think it might. Anyway, galumphing is in the Oxford English Dictionary. That has actually, like a couple of others in this poem.
Given the context, though, it says he left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back, meaning victory.
Victory, yes, triumph, exactly. Yes, it's much more positive. So it's gone the opposite way from amelioration.
It's also like interesting because it creates a sense of imagery. Like galumphing, it sounds like a heavy word as well. Like you think of it, and you can imagine carrying a head of like a mythical creature isn't going to be light work, is it? Like,
Yeah.
It's true.
It might be quite heavy.
Yeah, force.
Yeah, galumphing it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if it picks up a bit from. I think in his period they would have had these things called galoshes, wouldn't they? Which were like big shoes that you put over your shoes to kind of protect your shoes. So if you were wearing those, you would feel like you were going around in
I see.
big heavy boots. So that's where the connotations of the heaviness might be kind of added in.
So I picked 2 words. I picked beamish and frabjous. I mean, beamish, it comes from beaming, and it was around before Lewis Carroll used it. It's also a place name, but the use here is not from the place name. So, and then frabjous, I mean, it's quite a mouthful in itself. It sort of connotes ideas of joy and happiness.
It's kind of like fabulous and joyous, isn't it?
That's it. That one really does convey something
It
quite
does.
joyous, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fabulous. We've got chortled in there as well, which is another one that has made it into everyday use, and that's another portmanteau word. What is it?
Chuckle and snort.
Chuckle and snort.
Yeah.
Chuckle and snort. Yes. Sounds like a comedy act, doesn't it? Another portmanteau word, and we can mention here that the concept of a portmanteau word, applying the word portmanteau, which was a sort of briefcase kind of thing, to words as a linguistic description, is something that also comes from Alice Through the Looking Glass. It's something that Humpty Dumpty introduces, so it comes from there, the linguistic term, as well as the examples of it. One thing I was going to note about Jabberwocky generally is another thing, besides all the funny words in it and the pleasure in the words, it's sometimes used as an example of how language works, in the sense that language does not work just by us putting individual words together, or that's not the only thing. We also kind of can think in terms of phrases and syntax. So even though we may not know what the words individually mean, we can tell what the syntax of it is, what the subject is, what the verb is, generally. As Alice actually says when she reads the poem, she says something like, I don't really know what it meant, but I know that someone did something. And there's that underlying structure. It is there, even if the words are all kind of difficult for us to understand. So, thank you, Hannah, for introducing that one. Not introducing it to us, but reminding us of that one and giving us a chance to read it. So we could definitely say, I think, that Lewis Carroll was very successful in creating a new genre in children's literature, or a new kind of experience of children's literature through what he did with all these nonsense or unfamiliar words. He wasn't the first person, however, to put into literature made-up words. So there's a long history of it. And I thought it would be interesting just to look at what I think is a kind of unique scene in Shakespeare where he did this. We often think of Shakespeare as creating words, and he did probably create some. But there is one point in one of his plays where he actually makes the deliberate decision to create words which don't make sense, which are nonsense words. And the whole point of them is that they don't make sense. So it's a unique moment. It's in a play that's not very well known, All's Well That Ends Well. And if I just set the scene, then we'll actually read this little passage. What this is about is there's an army that's taking part in a battle, and within the army is a soldier who's very annoying to all his fellow soldiers. His name, interestingly, is Paroles, or Parole, which is also a word that means language. But his thing is he's always boasting, he's always saying he's done things which he hasn't done. Everyone is getting very fed up with him, and so they decide to kind of teach him a lesson by what we could really think of as a kind of extreme form of workplace bullying, really. They decide they're going to kidnap him, blindfold him, and then they're going to pretend to be foreign soldiers and speaking a language that he doesn't know. So he's going to be terrified, thinking that he's being kidnapped by people he can't communicate with. And so to do that, they have to kind of agree that they will all speak in nonsense words. So what the kind of leader says is, when you sally upon him, speak what terrible language you will, though you understand it not yourselves, no matter. We must everyone be a man of his own fancy, not to know what we speak to one another. Chuff's language, gabble enough, and good enough. So the point is, it's got to be something that he won't recognise. It doesn't matter if we don't know what we're talking about. We just got to spout loads of made-up words. And so that is what they actually do. So Shakespeare had to kind of sit down and write some lines which were full of these made-up words. And you don't often hear this scene mentioned. It's quite hard to find a TV version of this play, but if you do, I haven't yet found one where these strange words are really given much prominence. But what I thought we could do is we could just read the words and imagine ourselves as this group who are trying to kind of play this really rather brutal trick on Parolles, and it has the effect, I should say, that he's immediately terrified and offers to do all kinds of things that he shouldn't do just to be saved. So let's have a go. Ben is going to be the person who leads off, and then we're all going to read a line just like in the play.
Throcum avusus, cargo, cargo, cargo.
Cargo, cargo, cargo.
Viliander par corbo, cargo.
Boscos, Thermodo, Boscos.
Boscos bravado caroli vonto.
Manca Rivania Dulce.
Oscar Bedulcher, Olivoker.
Accordo linter. Okay, I think we might just do it again.
Throcum avusus, cargo, cargo, cargo.
Cargo, cargo, cargo.
Viliander par corbo, cargo.
Boscos, Thermodo, Boscos.
Boscos bravado caroli vonto.
Manca Rivania Dulce.
Oscar Bedulcher, Olivoker.
Accordo linter. There you are. So that's Shakespeare, as you've probably never heard it before, but those are Shakespeare's words. And I just wonder what you thought about that in terms of, his attempts to create nonsense words that definitely are not words that anyone else would recognise. We have to remember that Parolles, being a sort of well-educated upper-class character of his time, he knows lots of European languages, so they specifically have to say, we've got to come up with some things that he won't recognise any of the words. So they're not in any of the regular European languages like French or Italian and so on. Where do you think Shakespeare got these words from? What do you think about them?
I mean, at least one of the words is familiar today. Cargo, being from Spanish. We borrowed it. So, and that is what year?
On the OED, it traces back to about 1657, but I mean, this text is way before.
Yes,
that.
yes.
So it's quite an interesting one that cargo only goes back to 1657, but this was ages.
Yes. So a Spanish word there that's very familiar to us now. I suppose what that means is people might have heard it in the kind of Spanish-speaking contexts, but it still sounded sort of alien. I was looking at accordo. Well, that does sound a bit like words like accord, accordingly, according, but with the O on the end makes it kind of sort of look a bit Italian, Spanish.
Yeah, I was going to say that with a lot of these words, I mean, you'll know how to learn in Italian, like a lot of words end in A or O.
Yeah, masculine and feminine.
Yeah, so it's kind of like those words and the repeated use of that, and you pointed one out, Dolce, yeah, which is already an Italian word in its own.
Yeah, and even in Spanish, dulce.
Yeah. And Boscos.
That's a weird one.
Sounds harsh.
Yes.
It sounds like Romanian or something to me.
Right, yeah. I was thinking it sounds a bit Greek. So we're going kind of over that way in terms of which part of Europe. Gos. Of course, that's another example of a word where you slightly reduplicate the sound. Boscos. Like the ones like the ones we were talking about before, job, and so on. So, making up words is not what Shakespeare is really. Making up nonsense words is not what Shakespeare is really remembered for. So it's interesting to have a look at that and that's from All's Well That Ends Well, Act 4, Scene 1, if you want to go and look it up yourself. That is where we are thinking about him deliberately trying to make nonsense with words. But a lot of other authors do kind of create words not to kind of make you frightened, like which is the case here, or alienated or bewildered or amused exactly, but more just to kind of add colour and character and help you to feel immersed in a kind of fictional world. So we were just talking about some examples of that where a writer has created words to go with the fictional world that they're creating. Ben, you had some examples from particular text.
Yeah, so mine comes from Frank Herbert's 1965 novel Dune, which there's quite... I mean, I'm a massive sci-fi reader anyway, but for something that ties so close with like language for me is like really interesting. And I'm just going to read off a few words that appear to me as something I've never seen before. So there is the first one, which is Fremen, which is the group of people, like the tribes of the planet is called Arrakis, which means dune in their language. And their language itself is called Chakobsa, which is... you can trace it back to... It's a mixture of Romanian language, Serbo-Croatian and Arabic. So especially like with the Romani influences, it's quite nomadic, which describes the Fremen quite perfectly, because they are desert nomads. They travel and they don't settle really in one place, other than they're called sieges, which are like underground caves.
So do you think that Frank Herbert's method has been to kind of just borrow bits and pieces from other languages?
I think so, but I also think it's interesting. He like shortens a lot of things. Like Fremen, if you break it down, it sounds kind of like free men, which would make sense with like nomadic tribes. Like they are free of anyone else telling them what they can and can't do. Therefore, they travel the desert. Another interesting one is, and I can only break it down into other words, but it comes from loads of different languages. In the novel, there's like a sisterhood of witches called the Bene Gesserit. And Bene, and like all the words broken down, so Bene Gesserit and Rit, it comes to... Bene means, in Old German, it's a boon to a god, so like a prayer to a god. And then Jesse is to guess, or like have an aim in Old German as well. And then like right is kind of like... It's like a group of people, the ite suffix at the end. So Bene Gesserit is kind of like the people who follow, like, or aim to follow a god, which makes sense of who they are. They're trying to, I think they're trying to like produce a god. I don't know. I haven't read the entire series of novels yet, so I could be completely mistaken. But in the first book, it sounds that way out.
So this is set on a different planet, is it?
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. In the second book, Earth still exists, but this is like it's thousands of years in the future.
So these people on this other planet have somehow got hold of some old German words.
Well, yeah, it's weird because the book that I'm on now, which is the third in the series, the two children are speaking French, but they refer to it as an ancient language. Right. Which is completely weird because they're like in a completely different galaxy at this point, presumably. But yeah, it's weird that they've taken influences because they are still human and they're recognised as humans. Like they're still the same as humans, but they're just different tribes living on different planets. It's weird. Right.
Okay, so there's a lot of borrowing involved in that particular sort of way of forming words. Now, we were going to think about the person I keep on calling him Roald Carroll, but Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl, yeah. He's I grew up with his books, and he's the first example of made-up words that I know. And I have got a list of 4 words that he's made up, and they do sound like exactly as you would imagine. We've got hopscotchy, which means cheerful, squibbling, which is writing, crodswinkled, which is you've been caught out with something, and trogglehamper, which is a nightmare.
Right, so squiggled.
Like squibbling.
Squibbling.
But it sounds like scribbling.
Right, so that one is a sort of distortion of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite one?
I do. It's hopscotchy because a hopscotch is obviously something that's been kind of invented. It's a game, and everyone knows what that is. Meaning cheerful, you're jumping around, and it's a game, and you're happy when you're playing it.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Like inner child.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah. So there, if we think of the Dune examples, he's using it there. He's creating a kind of sense of a sort of linguistic history, isn't he? Dahl is doing it more to create a sense of fun, a mischievous distortion of words, perhaps.
Which is important for, children's literature. I think that's a big part of it. So sci-fi, fantasy and children's novels, it's kind of, you find a lot of nonsense words. And in Roald Dahl's case, a lot of it sounds very light-hearted and silly. And the language kind of thing, this is from the BFG, is called gobblefunk, which sounds silly and it would make a child laugh,
Is that his word for for making up words?
For the words in the BFG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I see. Yes. Gobblefunk. Yeah. Right. Okay. And then we've got. Amy, you were going to say something about Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter sort of counts. I mean, a lot of the spells come from Latin, and I think we also said one of them might have Greek ties as well. But there are words and there's names and creatures in there that are technically nonsense words. Things like Niffler and Mundungus. You could even say the name of the castle, which is Hogwarts. That would be counted as a nonsense word itself.
Yes, I guess. I'm thinking that kind of a lot of Latin-y kind of words seem to be in the spells. Hogwarts is a lot more kind of Germanic kind of sounding kind of thing, isn't it? So that's quite interesting. We were talking about the
Avada Kedavra, the death spell.
Right, yes, which I think she has said is based on abracadabra.
Yeah.
Which is a sort of childish kind of spell word, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got an idea that's based on the alphabet as well. But I think the interesting thing there is that whether it's Avada Kedavra or abracadabra, they're examples again of this sort of duplication effect in the creation of words. You had one, Hamera, that you were interested in there.
Higgledy-piggledy.
Higgledy-piggledy. Look that one up. No one knows where it who invented it, but it obviously it's come about through creating a word and then repeating the word with a slight variation, isn't it? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
And that in itself creates a sort of novelty effect that makes the word memorable. Do you think of any others like that? Besides the one we had, Jub Jub already, we've got abracadabra.
Jub Jub and Tum Tum.
Tum Tum was another one, yes, indeed. Hocus Pocus.
Dilly Dally.
Dilly Dally, yeah.
Roly Poly.
Yeah, Roly Poly, yeah.
Upsy Daisy.
Upsy Daisy, yeah. Well, there's even a TV kids character called Roly Poly Oly.
Actually, that was a robot thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Even if you think about the nursery rhyme, that Ring a Ring a Roses.
Yes.
Kind of that repetition.
Yes. So repetition is an important part of that kind of fun with language aspect. In the Night Garden, give us a few from there. We'll have a little bit of nostalgia.
Lugo,
isn't it?
Iggle Piggle.
Iggle Piggle.
Macca Packa.
Yeah, Macca Packa.
I don't know what the other one's called. I can't remember.
One of them's called Upsy Daisy.
Upsy Daisy.
Right, okay, already had them.
Yeah. So that's that principle going on.
Oh, well, you've even got the Teletubbies. You've got La La,
Ipsy Dipsy.
Ipsy Dipsy, Tinky Winky.
And then for nonsense words, you've got the Fimbles.
Yeah.
The Fimbles, yes.
Yeah. I can't remember any of their names. Just remember that they're slightly creepy looking.
Well, we could go on and on about children's TV. That's always one we can go back to. I thought the last thing we could do, as we've talked about different ways of creating language, different purposes in creating language, we could have a little go ourselves. We've all been having a go at making up words. I think everyone would agree it's harder than you would think. I don't think even Roald Dahl or all these people came up with all of them that quickly. Probably had to work at it a bit. But it's harder than you think because you have to make sure that you're not too close to a word that already exists. And then you have to make sure that the word isn't bringing with it somehow connotations that immediately determine what its meaning is. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear our made-up words. I'm going to ask each person to just give us the ones they've got, and then we'll just each of us think what we think those might mean. So who wants to go first? Ben,
Yeah, I don't
what have you got?
So one's a bit of a compound word, but the others are completely made up. So the first one is rendona fictitious. Then I've got squaggle, griold, and laubkirchen.
Labcushion.
A laubkirchen.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, we put these in slides. We'll get them written down so we can all see see the spelling of them. So I don't know. What did anyone think of those? Do you see a meaning for any of those?
I've made meanings for.
All right. What are they then?
So rendona fictitious is an incomplete tale of events. So that's the compound word, that rend and fictitious.
Oh yeah.
Squaggle I've put is an adjective to describe the awful sound a flock of birds make. So a squaggle, like the birds were squaggling, maybe.
I think that's a good one. Yeah.
Griold is an adjective to describe a sense of feeling old and wise at the same time. And a laubkirchen, I've done a bit of a carol here, is a mythical sea creature I've made up, and it's a mixture of a whale and a sea snail.
So that's a kind of So that's a creature for which they then need like Lewis Carroll had an illustrator to kind of bring that to life. So we're like squaggle amongst those. I think that's got potential for. Was it especially as we know it's the sound of the birds.
Yeah, I think I've subconsciously taken it maybe from like a gaggle of geese.
Gaggle, yeah.
So it might be, and then squawk. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it is actually a good portmanteau.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
okay.
I didn't intend for it to be like that, but I'm thinking about it.
That's a good one. I should say that we have actually checked all these in the OED.
Yeah.
To see whether there's already an entry for them, which often does happen for the words you might think you've never seen before. When you put it in, you often do find that there is actually one already existing. So, I mean, squaggle could also be, you could say, I feel really squaggled today.
Yeah, a bit mind fog kind of thing.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Because it sticks up on the scrambled. Yeah. Right. Okay, Imi, what have you got?
I've got Fiddy-Gumph, Winks-a-Cran, Ninderpoof, and I just thought of Niffity-Spunk.
I think Roald Dahl would love those.
They got a Dahlish kind of feel to them,
They
definitely. What do you imagine those are?
Fiddy-Gumph, I always imagined it, sort of like galumphing, really. The way I see galumphing is, like, clumsily walk or sort of walk into things. So I've always imagined that Fiddy-Gumph as being, heavy walking into doors and things, probably.
Fiddy-Gumph?
Yeah. Winks-a-Cran, fall from a great height, probably, for some reason. Ninderpoof, swear word. And the last... like when you swear without swearing.
Oh, I see. So you say that instead of saying something that's more taboo.
Yeah, I mean, if you're around
like
children,
if you've dropped something.
If you're around children and you drop something on your foot and you don't want to happen to the child.
What you say? Oh, ninderpoof.
Yeah. And the last one, some like consternation, really, just a bit angry.
Right.
So.
Okay, right. Got a good lot here. That's those do sound like they kind of come from a particular fictional world. So I think you could actually go away and create the novel now with those. With which those.
I have got an idea.
Oh right, good.
Let's go somewhere.
Okay. So who's going to go next?
I can go next. I've got 3 I'd like to read out. There's agreb, orcal, and za.
Oh, right, you've gone short words, which is interesting. That is harder, I think, to do.
Do you think?
Well, I suppose, but they're all.
It depends,
It's all hard. Yes. I mean, the shorter they are, the less likely it is that they'll look like something else, or they'll fit. Yeah. So, what are they again?
So, agreb is an aggressive grab. So it's a short word, but I just kind of wanted to combine them. So it's like a portmanteau kind of word.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 are words that sound like it is. So orcal is a clearing throat, like clearing throat sound.
Yeah.
If you kind of do it out loud. It's like a
Right.
something like that.
Like have a good oracle
Yeah, like oracle.
before you start speaking.
Yeah, like she oracled before she spoke.
Yeah.
And then za is spelt with 2 Z's and an A, which is that falling feeling that you get when you sleep. Because I was thinking Z usually represent you sleeping, and the A is kind of like a gasp that you have when you wake up.
Oh, right, you got something there. So you mean that thing when you just dropping off to sleep and suddenly you
which is a
feel like
very
you've gone
common.
off a cliff.
yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly yes.
Exactly,
yes.
it's a very common feeling, so I thought it deserves a name
Za.
because no one knows how to describe it. So
Okay, right. Well, that's that one. Yeah, I think we should send that off to the sleep
dear.
laboratory or something like that. I mean, it's pretty unusual to have a word that begins with 2 Z's.
So you've done something
and
with English.
So yeah. I mean, apart from the 3 Z's, which is the kind of symbol for
that's
sleeping.
So it could be 3. I just didn't want
Za,
to do too
yeah.
many because it didn't look English.
Yeah.
Bit
That's
disruptive, I
great.
suppose.
What have you got, Sarah?
I've got rush a lot.
Rochelot.
I think that means trying to be quick.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you kind of, sort of connoting rush.
Yeah.
Rush there. Yeah. I got to remember when I you told me that one before. We were thinking kind of vegetables, kind of more, weren't we?
Yeah, I think it's just that shallot.
Shallot.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. Or I envisaged it as being spelled Rochelotte, and I was like, kind of, have you tried these new Rochelot cabbages? They,
Russian
they're kind of, they're a very special sort of breed of it. So I think it's got potential there. Yeah. Right.
Thinking about it as well, and I don't think you meant this intentionally, maybe, but it sounds like rush a lot, which makes sense with the quick thing, like how you rush a lot.
Rush a lot.
So, rush a lot.
Yeah. In that sense, it could be a character's name. What about you, Homero?
I'm probably the only one that's not thought of definitions at all. But
Well, that's so the words are available for us to think of the definitions.
I've got Quilla, Quilla, and then Mosin, Mosin, which Ben said that it already existed. OED, or is it you just know about it?
I do know of something that does exist. It's not on the OED, but a Mosin is like a model of weapon.
It's a kind of brand name.
I don't know if it's like a brand name or just the actual type of weapon
Model.
it is.
Right.
But yeah, I know that it already exists. But there could be another meaning for it since it's not on the OED technically.
And what's the third one?
And I got wobious,
Wobious.
like WOBIUS.
Right.
So wobious.
Okay, so let's do Quilla. What does anybody think?
It sounds to me like a person's name, like a leader's name almost. Like I think of Attila.
Attila. Yeah. There was a kind of spy novel series back in the 60s, 70s called the Quilla Memorandum. That's with an ER, so it was a person's name there. But that doesn't mean it can't be a word in another sense. Quilla. I mean, you feel like it should have a connection with quill,
Yeah.
and so it could be some kind of writing accessory.
Yeah. Got quill. I keep on thinking quill when I look at the spelling of it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Like a baby quail could be a quilla.
Yeah, that's just like, or a female quail.
Yes.
Quilla, that's nice. Quillo.
Yeah. Yes, that's good. Okay, and wobious. So there's something called Morbius, isn't there, which is some kind of thing. Morbius strip does something for chemical tests and things like that. So wobious, I don't know.
I just have a meaning, but it's like just off the top of my head, it sounds like, when you like listen to loud music, like the way that you feel after. Sometimes it's like, no, I'm feeling quite like wobious right now. It's because it's like it sounds like a wave. It's like whoop, like
Oh yes, right, okay, yeah,
like wobious.
yeah,
That
wobious.
makes sense.
Right, yeah, okay, yes. So wobious,
The feeling you get after listening to a good song or something.
right. So I hope after the end of this, everybody will feel kind of wobious.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Well, I've just got 3. I haven't actually had time to think about the meanings of these either. I've got weshel, and skirdery, and pittlement. So I got the feeling weshel. I think that might be a little bit like Mobius. I'm feeling pretty wesheled after that. Is it a verb meaning something some kind of exhaustion or something like that.
I feel like to me it sounds a bit like wash, which to me, like, you know, if you've, without intending to, you're all soaking wet like through the clothes and everything, it's a very uncomfortable, sticky feeling.
Right.
That's what I got from that.
Right. So that would be, I feel, weshel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I feel like
yeah.
soaked, drained, like, you know, after being wet and stuff.
Yeah.
You feel like, you know, fed up maybe.
Right. Yeah. So that's, I can't decide if it's a verb or if it's an adjective. And I don't know. What about skirdery?
Skullduggery.
Skullduggery. It's very close to that. Yes.
I was
right,
thinking
too close.
like that with like pirate talk, like skirting.
Yeah. Well, it's the skull again, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's coming in. Yes.
Does
Okay.
sound a bit like pirate.
Skirdery. Yes. Okay. So that one. Right. Okay. So that's it. We'll get all these words and then we'll launch them on the world and see in a year's time which ones are in the OED. And so thank you very much. Thank you, Hannah, then for coming up with this concept. And we've explored various different ways of thinking of creating words and done it ourselves. So we'll be back. We'll be back. One of our words we should sort of say, you know, we'll be back. Skirdery.
Sorry, just go to Oracle. Thank you.
Yeah. That's it. Right. Okay. Thanks very much then, everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in the interests of Teletubby scholarship, I need to acknowledge that we did actually make a little mistake in the part of the recording where we were talking about reduplicated names in children's TV programmes. And we persuaded ourselves that one of the Teletubbies was called Ipsy Dipsy. Of course, that's wrong. The green Teletubby is called Dipsy, not Ipsy Dipsy. And we were so caught up with that idea that we completely forgot about another good example of reduplicated names in Teletubbies, and that's the vacuum cleaner Nunu. So what can I say? We had a collective squaggle there, and I am wesheled to have got that wrong, especially as someone who's put in plenty of hours watching Teletubbies with my children. There's one other part of the recording where you may be wondering what resources we were using for our discussion. That's the first part, the Jabberwocky section. Well, as Hannah pointed out, there is actually some useful information about the words in Jabberwocky within the text of Through the Looking Glass itself, because the poem, it appears in chapter 1 of the text, and then in chapter 6, Alice asks Humpty Dumpty some questions about the words in the first verse. For information about the words in the other verses, well, there are various bits of useful information in the correspondence and papers of Lewis Carroll, Charles Dodgson, and these have all been brought together in a useful book that we were looking at, which is called The Annotated Alice, edited by Martin Gardner. Rather confusingly, I mistakenly referred to that in the discussion as being called The Alice Companion, and there is actually another book called The Alice Companion, edited by Joe Elwyn Jones. I think that does a similar job, so it's probably also a very useful resource, but I don't have access to that one. Really enjoyed making that recording, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Now here is Sarah to read our outro message.
You can find out more about English at Leeds Trinity from the Leeds Trinity University website, www.leedstrinity.ac.uk, and also from our At Leeds Trinity channel on YouTube. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Steve Oxon and Thessalionstudios.com for this music, which is called Rio After Dark.